Oh, I'm so excited, actually. I can't wait. I can't wait to speak to you, dear Maiken, because you are the woman that I was praying for when I came online in 2017. And so I just want to really open up, the fact that you've written a book called The Spiritual Millionaire. And, I think that this is a very, very good point because a lot of people think spirituality and millions of dollars don't go together, right?
Right.
So talk me through and the audience how you came to know that spiritual wealth was a very important piece to your puzzle.
Oh, where to start? I can start by this book is telling the whole journey because I knew that someone needed the mirror as I needed it as a child. So, long story short, as a child, I've been super sensitive my whole life. I have had these abilities and I did not know what it was. So I was so freaking scared of it because I saw things, I could feel things and my cousins didn't. So I was just like, okay, I'm the weirdo here. I better close it down because this is too scary. And it was not until, if we fast forward, it was not until I reached a point of stress and depression. And I know it's expression that a lot of people use today, but I did not use it. I did not put that label on myself until universe did. It is so magical when you just not listen to the universe. It lays you down flat on the floor, so you are not able to anything else but listen. So that was what happened to me. I have been at that point, I had been an entrepreneur for I think 4 years. I was doing well. I was running my sign making company and it was going fast. So that was it. I have made my own hamster wheel and I was not happy in it, but I was not able to listen. So once I got down with stress and depression, that was where it actually began. I awakened my abilities again. I was able to listen and I had the space to it. And
Hmm.
it took a lot of time. It was not fun. It was not easy, but it was worth it because it gave me the belief that if I struggled, I could not be the only one. Maybe someone else struggled too. And what I actually struggled most with was not when I was deep under the floor. I had a therapist, I had a psychologist, but once I was up again and wanted to move, there was no one. I couldn't find any coach that was able to grab me from not zero but 1 to 10. It is now. Luckily, a lot of people are awakened, but I needed someone to save me, if you can say so, myself. I know, but I knew I had to be that person back then because if I needed the help, someone else needed the help. So I decided to change my whole company, and it was freaking scary, but the best decision ever because I learned to listen to the universe and say, okay, so what's next? Not going back to the sign making once again because I felt okay, that's where the stress is from. And with that, of course, we get depression because when we are not happy in our company, in our field, of course we will get closed down.
Wow.
So
And you know what? I'm really listening to your story, right? And I'm wondering if you have a very kindred spirit to mine, because what I'm hearing is that you've always been a spiritual being. You've been a spiritual, sensitive child. You may not have knew you had that gift, but I can remember always growing up feeling a bit different too. And, really understanding that maybe I didn't see things the way you did, although I did have one very vivid vision one night where I felt Jesus had come into my room when I was 7 years old. And to this day, fast forward, like almost like 50 years later, it's almost as if when I think back to that time now, how sometimes you kind of realize why things happen and you sort of realize that it's all like a jigsaw puzzle. I would say that when I think back to it, it was like Jesus put into my hands as a child a gift and then just left. I never seen anything like it since. And then from then it went. But what I'm also hearing for you, being that, child with these spiritual gifts, is that you obviously had a fairly successful business in the signage. And, I myself too, I had a profession where it was a really strong family background. But it's like you needed to have literally these waking moments where you literally hit the wall to say, wake up, Maiken, wake up. And, that's what I'm hearing. So what do you think? Like, obviously, the turning point in for you was in 2017 when you hit the wall and you were so close to even asking yourself if you ought to be on this earth. What do you think? What was that moment when you realized you needed to go into this spiritual kind of awakening and into the coaching space?
So it didn't feel like I had a choice with the spiritual awakening. It was just like all of a sudden when I was laying down anyway, I had the space to listen. And all of a sudden it just came to me and all the right stuff and people and I took my first course that was actually about economy because I was just like, okay, I gotta fix this. I'm gonna have a grip of this now. But it turned out she was a spiritual coach. So she had a total different approach to it than I thought. And that just happened over time. And I bought my first business mentor. I thought she was a clairvoyant and she taught me how to be a clairvoyant. So it was just like, it just fell in place as a jigsaw puzzle, I should say. And I think I just leaned into it because I was so beneath the floor. I was just like, yeah, it cannot get any worse. So I might as well just be here, try my best, and just follow. And it just it just came very quickly. It feels like when you look back on it and people ask. So sometimes it's just like, I don't know, I don't remember. But it comes.
So you hit seven figures back in, 2022, right?
Yes.
And that is such a huge awakening, and it's quite interesting because, I mean, you making your seven figures didn't come with a low cost. You went through so much, and it's like the universe was saying, Maiken, I'm going to put a microphone in your hand, and you're the one who needs to go out and tell people that if they, especially your people, I mean, of course, there's horses for courses, but the people that are really, really struggling, trying to be successful, trying all the shiny object, things, because I see it all the time, people, they're jumping here, jumping there, jumping here, and trying all things, trying master classes, trying all these strategies to, really desperately wanting to be like everybody else when they finally discovered it within. So, what happened to you when suddenly you realized everything that you had was within you? What were I guess, the steps or the pieces to the puzzle that really helped you get to seven figures? Can you walk us through that?
Of course. it shifted it all when you know you have to stop, look outside of you and look inside of you. I have been that person. I have been the person with shiny objects all over. But the second I just would throw it all, and I love to declutter. I decluttered all email list, everything. I was just back in focus. I had that turning point one more time. So I had to learn it twice. But I also know that what I have been going through is what is so easy for me to teach, and people are just following that. So I sat down, I had a focus, I did the highest invest in a coach ever. One coach, and I knew, okay, nothing but that. I'm not gonna buy anything for now. I can do it later once this is working. And actually, it was because of the universe once again. At this point of time, I think we can fast forward a little. I was so connected with the universe all of a sudden, and I was every time I was trying to figure anything out on my own, I shifted it and asked the universe, and I was just neutral and said, I don't care what the answer is, but I know the first answer is right. Never second guess yourself. So that was what I did. I had a little different approach than I thought, but that's how universe works. It knows better than us. So I one day I was just at point zero once again. And I thought, okay, it cannot be any worse. Universe, help me here. If you make me a millionaire, I promise I will do good. I will pay back all. I will be my best. I will, you know how we can just, okay, once this machine is working and the vision and the mission is running in our head, we can think big. And I said, show me one sign and I'll go all in for it. I thought I was winning the lottery back then. I didn't, but I opened my Facebook and a person that I have never been on my Facebook before just popped up, and I took the chance. I did not know the person, I did not know anything, but I could see that this person was a coach. So I said, "Hey, I want to know more about you." And she was joining. I was joining a free week, and I just said to myself, no more free stuff. So I knew why I was in there. And it was not until the sign up that I saw that this person called herself a millionaire coach. It's just like, oh my god, I got my sign, I'm all in. So from that point, getting back to the focus, listening to one, maximum two persons at the time, with myself all the time. They can teach me 10 things, but I was implementing the things that was aligned with me. I could feel the yes or no inside of me. And I would have myself with this all the time, implementing, not just watching, not just listening, not just going over it, but implementing it is the big damn difference. And that was the only thing I have missed for my whole damn life.
Oh my gosh, that is so profound. I hope everyone's listening because what Maiken just dropped, I've got goosebumps, is gold. Because I feel like you have actually been able to explain it. You know, sometimes we have, conscious competency, and then other times we have unconscious competency. And sometimes we don't know how to state the really powerful things to people, and because we take it for granted. So I just want to go over and really just reiterate some of the biggest things that I took here. First of all, oh my gosh, declutter. Yes, declutter your life. Oh my gosh, guys, when I moved house, and I'm also a minimalist, and so I always find an up level comes. So declutter, I love that. The other element, and if you don't mind, I'd love to go into a little detail about it, because you said it very easily, sharply, and succinctly. And that is really about trusting your instincts. So it's, when you're hearing a message back, You are listening to yourself. And usually that instinct that comes from your gut is given to you within the first few seconds. So I love that. The next thing is, oh, I love this bit about the universe. You told the universe, if you give this to me, it's like you made a bargain with the universe. And, I mean, let's face it, this is what some of the greatest parents are made of. You have to bargain with your kids. You cannot say that you don't. And I know you are expecting. So let me tell you, if anyone tells you not to bargain with your kids, let me tell you, there is times in their life when, especially if they're toward motivated, if you tell them, you know what, once you clean your room, you are able to go to your favorite show and I will give you your pocket money. It works. You ask the universe like a child, and God says in the Bible, come to me as little children. And just remind me, what was your bargain agreement with the universe again?
I was just saying to the universe, if you were making me a millionaire, I'm gonna give back. I'm gonna do my best. I'm not gonna be the spoiled one, but I'm gonna be the one who shares. So it was just,
Mm.
can we just meet in the middle here?
Yeah, yeah, and the universe is listening, and God knows our hearts too, and so it's like I don't know whether I've ever thought of doing that. Like, if you give me $1 million, universe, I will promise that I will do my best to serve as many people as I can. I love that. I would write that down if you guys are really wanting to make especially if you're looking to make your first million. Also, listening for the signs. You were definitely really listening into that. And I also love the one voice thing. Rather than going over here, having a coach here, having a coach there, hearing all these voices, it's like, and doing nothing, kind of like being crippled from literally too many voices and the overwhelm. And here's another big bang, because this one is also something that I've never described to my people, but it's something I do. And you said it. You said it, girl. You said that when you are listening to that correct voice, they might teach 10 things, 100 things, or whatever they're teaching. And what you do is, because you're doing everything you say you do anyway, you're listening to your instinct, you're following your gut, you're going with the universe. Anything that you hear that obviously resonates, you implement straight away. Oh my gosh. Can you give me an example? While you're thinking of an example, because I've put you on the spot here, I just want to share something on this note. And that is that too many people out there, too many of you are always thinking, I can't do that. Or you're so busy trying to learn it all that you get lost in the overwhelm. And then I know you can go to people 2 weeks later and say, oh, so what have you done about it? Nothing. But what Maiken's saying is exactly what I do also, which is take those things that really resonate in your spirit, and don't think to yourself, oh, I don't have the experience to do that. I've just learnt it 2 seconds ago. No, everybody starts from somewhere, right? You've got to start now. So with that, can you share something that you heard from a mentor, one voice, that you went, you know what, I'm going to take it out. Tell us where you took it, what platform, and even the content. I'd love to hear it.
Of course I can, because I actually thought of an example that shows both ways. Because it's important that you listen to your spirit, but you also dare to jump out to that, even if it's a yes, and you're just like, but can I do that? As you said, we don't believe, but as soon as you believe, you can achieve that. That is as simple. And universe don't have the same timeline as us, so you don't have to have the huge experience. You have to grab the experience. You have to make it happen to get it. So what happened was, I pretty soon, sooner than my coaches thought, I implemented doing challenges. So I had the same challenge every month for a period to learn. But the first challenge I ever had, I did not feel ready at all. Let me just point at that. I did not feel ready, but I jumped into it as a test and see, okay, what works, and let me just ele- elevate, let me just evaluate on what happened here, what can I do better. But the beautiful part is that I made my first six figure on that one challenge, and I did not expect it. I just jumped into it, even though I did not feel ready. I feel half prepped, and then I just went from intuition, and I was in the room. I was there with the people, and that's the part about me. And I believe that a lot of souls need to trust that even more, because we are intuitive. You don't have to have it all prepped. When you are less prepped, when you have spent less time on it before you go into it, you can feel the room. You can see every person in the eye, and you can feel, okay, I know what she needs right now. I can pull that from my bag. I know what this day will be about, or this hour. So that happened. But also,
Mm.
they told their framework about the whole challenge, and there was maybe 2 or 3 points afterwards the challenge where I just felt, ugh, ugh, really not me, no, 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 no. So I also listened to that, even though my coaches told me, do this. I was just like, no, this 1 point, I'm not doing that, but the rest, of course, I'll try, I'll do my best. So it's so important to listen to your own voice, both in the yeses and the nos.
Gosh, absolute gold. Um, I also note that you said whatever you believe, you can achieve. And how important is that? Because it's really about the vision. Can I ask, what was the challenge that you set for your audience where you were so connected?
I had a challenge, and I believe, I do not even remember what I called it. I was just so in it, but it was telling my group in there for a whole week how I've done, how I implemented, and how you can make the first 100K in your business. So it was
That's
something about,
huge.
it is,
That's
but it's
huge.
so simple. It's easier to make 100K than to make 10K or 1K. It's so insane. And people, it's their belief system that just say, no, 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 no. So that's why they don't do it. And through that week, I awakened the people to their spiritual and their millionaire side. So implementing is, of course, one of the things that I'm teaching about, but especially your identity, as you just said. It is so important what worth you are calling on yourself, what identity you are believing. Because when you shift your beliefs, when you shift your identity, you shift your whole world. And I know you all have been hearing that sentence a ton of times, but once you understand it, it shifts. That I can't explain it. You can only feel it when it happens for you. It's just like, oh my God, it worked.
Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? I mean, from what you're really professing, it's all about, it's not something necessarily that you explain, in your brain. It's kind of more something that you just feel it in your soul. And, you mention also, and this is an interesting one, right? Not sure how you went when you went, because obviously going to the first 10K, a lot of people do struggle maybe getting to 10K in their first month. I remember when I hit my first 50K in a month, and I was on a vacation, It's in Broome, Western Australia, but it's up north and it's kind of like our little Bali. And it was just, I was, sipping margaritas on the beach. I was, sitting around the pool with my laptop, and I was literally signing people in while I was sitting around the pool. This is no joke, because we are living proof, right? And energy doesn't lie. But why do you think it is, Maiken? Because it's so true that you can hustle the heck out of yourself to try and make 10K, but then the 100K is so much easier. And hitting seven figures, like the bigger numbers, sometimes getting past that bottleneck is, once you get past that bottleneck, it becomes easier. Is there any kind of secret that you can share that's behind that, that some of these people out there could perhaps utilize so they can hear, what am I going to do to take myself over across the line so I can break through? What can you give us any tips on that?
Sure, I don't know if it's a secret because it depends on what you hear. You can hear the same sentence a ton of times, but once you did that up level, you understand it on a new level, of course. So I can really point back to this belief. If you believe there is a resistance, if you believe you are only worth 10K, you will not make more than 10K because you will self sabotage as soon as you get to 15K. You will think, oh, something is too good, something must happen, this must disappear again. And what you think of on long term will happen. So it is about start moving that blocks away. And if you think there is a glass ceiling or a wall, start think different. Think for yourself, hey, what if there's not a glass ceiling? What if there's no wall? What if I could only do this? So just be more like a little soul who is naive. I think as myself, as the naive child, I was just like, oh, I don't know what will happen here. Let's try and see. So just go out of that comfort zone. If you want new, you gotta do new. It's a sentence that is all over social media, but it is true. So if you are tired of getting 1K, start think for yourself. Believe every morning when you stand up saying, hey, I'm that coach who makes 10K, or I'm that coach who makes 100K. Because once you just start these small affirmations and tell your brain, your subconscious will start looking for it. So what you think is what you become, and it is as simple. So if you keep repeating to yourself, I'm not worth it, I do not know nothing, your brain will only search for proof. If you start telling yourself, I'm a millionaire coach, I do deserve it all, I can get it all, so I can give more, your brain will just start searching for that. And you will see, just like magic, opportunities will come, and people want to have you on interviews, and people want to have you on magazine, and people want to be your clients all of a sudden. Because as you said, energy doesn't lie, you attract what you believe in. And it sounds like woo woo, but it is actually quite simple.
Oh, you're absolutely living proof. I'm hearing trust screaming out here, and I'm really hearing. I think your guides are talking to mine and going trust. So I'm going to have to really drop that, because I feel that what Maiken is saying, and please correct me if that's incorrect, Maiken, that when whatever you truly believe about yourself, as Maiken already has said, will be true. So if you look at yourself as, oh, this is so hard, and oh, I can't, I'm only a 10, I can barely make 10K. Well, that's your ceiling. But if you can knock that ceiling off, if you can lift the glass ceiling from that upper limit there, you can break through. And you talked about shifting this through identity as well. Do you feel, can you describe to me like what you believe identity is all about with a person, and perhaps what your identity was before and what happens like where you are now?
Sure. So identity is both what you look like, but it's mostly what you are thinking of, what you believe in, and how you feel and talk and speak. It's especially your feeling that vibrates in your body. And you can affect your feeling by wearing different clothes. So, a fun example back last year was after a challenge I just had when I was in a vacation on Barcelona. Beautiful place. If no one have been there, Barcelona has a spiritual aura around it. You will get so many ideas on that side of Spain. I love Spain, by the way. Now you know. But back on my trip back to Denmark, where I live, I have just told about identity on that challenge, and I just walked through the airport and I saw a dress, and my my old brain, if you can say so, just told me, "Oh, one day that dress is for you. Out in the future, that dress that is yours." And I just stopped myself, and I thought people around me was just looking like, "What happened?" But I just stopped, like, no, not gonna happen. I'm gonna destroy that autopilot pilot right there. So I run back. I did not have time, but I run back. I took the dress, I tried it, and it just fitted smoothly. I did not look at the tag. I was just like, that's my dress, and that's how it is. So I bought it, and when you are so certain, when you just follow what spirit tells you and you just manipulate and say, that's not the autopilot I want to have anymore. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to change it. It gives back because the person behind the desk was so sweet. He said, "Hey, have you been a customer here before?" No. "Oh, so actually the discount ran out yesterday, but I want to give you 15%. Oh, well, thank you. I did not ask for anything, but thank you, universe." I was just like, I know who did this.
Isn't that amazing? You
Yeah.
know, so interesting that you talk about Barcelona and the dress and the ideas and the way that it's such a spiritual place, because I'll tell you why. This is really interesting because we're just on my YouTube channel right now, and we do have a viewer, which is interesting because we go right out to the world not until Friday. So um, I love that you said that, because I'll tell you why, and that is that at the moment, I'm ready to go to the next level as well. And I believe that no matter whether we are seven figures, whether we're playing at the seven-figure playground, the eight-figure playground, or if we're still really stuck in five trying to make it to six, right? That environment, like Maiken has just said, plays a huge, a huge part, because it comes back to what you've said too at the beginning of, you know, your what you're really expressing about decluttering. Because when we take ourselves out of our environment and then we place ourselves into a new one, it's inspirational. Napoleon Hill. Have you read Think and Grow Rich? Because it sounds like you have. You have?
I have the fun part is I have the book, and I think that's
Yes.
enough for me because I have just written a part of the pages, and everyone says you gotta read the book, and it feels like my spirit did, so it's okay.
Yep, I can tell. I mean, you know, what you're teaching is very, very much around Think and Grow Rich. So you've obviously taken on some of those pearls and applied them. And, you know, the way we feel in ourselves, like you going in and saying, I just, you know, that dress, and then putting it on and then it just being, it's like that dress calling you. And I love it because it's like Barcelona's calling you, that dress is calling you, and hey, look, we're even going to give you a discount. I love that. I think that that is amazing. So now I'm really excited to hear about your program. And to be perfectly honest with you, I can hear 100 different programs within the one, because there's so much, whether it's around your identity, whether it's around getting to the first six figures, whether it's around, you know, really listening into your own instinct, whether it's around trust, like I can hear. a million programs coming out of you. Um, but let's talk about the one where you went in with a coach, where you learnt yourself how to become a clairvoyant. And, I guess the question that I have is, do you feel that we all have a gift of clairvoyancy, and then it's awakened? Because I note that in your spiritual coaching segment, which is your 6-month program, you're focusing in on helping people become, really raise up that intuition. Can you talk to me about that? Like, and how can we wake it up, and who's that for?
Of course. So yes, you're right. I have two educations, and I call it educations because, as you say, it's a ton of programs. But I keep it so simple because I need it simple too. But everything I know, I learn. So I'm total transparent, and that's what I see works because people just need me as the mirror, as a belief. But in the 6 month program, with the spiritual side and with the awakening your clairvoyant abilities, I do believe that we are all born clairvoyant. But because of this masculine world, because of the world we are living in, we are all closed down because that's not how we operate if we are normal. So we are seen as different people and as alternative people. And of course, it's shifting now, and I like what I see. So some of us are front runners for it, but I believe that the people who are curious about it, the people who have the interesting side to it, they are ready to awaken it. So if you are sitting for yourself and think, should I not? Do I have the abilities? Do I not? If you're interested, that's not enough. Because when you are curious, you are already opening it up. You are already hearing things, listening to things, seeing things, even though you second guess it. So I believe that in that program, I teach people how to just embrace it, how to really awaken and use it for the greatest of all, because it is for coaches who just want to deepen that level on how can I coach my client? How can I go on a deeper level? And how can I level up myself and my business? So it goes hand in hand. It's the spiritual side and it is also the business side. And as you said, with a lot of different elements because we need to go in every corner to get the whole person and spirit alongside.
Oh, I love that. That is so, so good. So, really, what that happened for you that exponentially changed the trajectory of your life and your business was that, sure, you must have been stubborn somewhat, because I know I'm a little bit stubborn. And I know that sometimes it takes for me to hit the wall before I wake up and go, okay, okay, I'm listening. I'm that child. My father used to say I was incorrigible when I was growing up. I really never knew what that word actually meant, but apparently cannot be told. I couldn't learn something that I was never interested in. And it's interesting that sometimes our gifts are calling us, and our desires. I think this is a big part too, that the inner desires of our hearts are also calling us as well. So, when someone comes through your container and they're moving from the first 6 months, what do you think is the breakthrough that happens? Say, I guess I know everyone's different, and I can tell, would be very much like myself in you treat each and every person individually. But what do you think is the big linchpin that really does, get people to go from where they are to, that success? What do you feel is the big thing they learn from you, or that they really receive from you?
Yeah, as you say, it is different, and for some people, it's when I say one quote, it's just like it clicks, and then they are going. But a lot of people is this dragging your antennas back in. Don't have all your antennas out and think I have to be like this or I must be like this or anything. But once they drag their antennas in and they learn to listen to their core and learn to listen to their soul and dare to move, even though they do not feel ready, even though they do not feel the confidence yet, they know I have to meet the universe halfway, as I just discovered I had to. So once you move a little, the universe will also move. So it's this collaboration all the time. So what I see is really this breakthrough from feeling stressed and depressed as I and not believing into this flip that all of a sudden they just feel relieved and they have these awakenings and they call me back and say this happened and this happened and this happened, and then they're just like, it's magic. No, it's you did it. So once they are ready and they did this flip, they again hit a new wall, just like I. So that's why it's so important that they have me long term, because it hits. It's like waves. We are human beings, and especially women, we do run in a cycle of a month, not a day. So we have these good days, bad days, and when we can learn to embrace that it's okay to have a bad day and a good day will come again. It's not like you're stuck here forever. When we can embrace that flow and get into this more feminine side, being okay with the majority of the world is on the masculine side, just knowing, hey, I can run this my own way. There's only one way, and it's my way. That is where I can see, whoop, we can just go on. And they of course want to continue and say, okay, so what's next? And that's the same curiosity as I have, because once you know there's a new level, it never ends. It's just like, okay, what's
Mm.
that's
Tell
it.
me about it.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Oh my gosh. I was just thinking that actually when as you were saying this, I was flashing back to my own experiences as you were talking. You must be an exceptional coach because there's all these visions flashing in my mind, and I was thinking to myself, I used to hear the saying, always remember where you did come from, because if you came from somewhere where it was humble beginnings and then you end up here, never forget where you did actually come from, because that may be also the people that you really do need to help. But I was thinking back to myself pre knowing and doing and being who I am in the coaching world. But this was before I went online, and I was seeing people. And before that, I was in that dark night of the soul, like you talked about as well. And my life had not just been going down, down, down for weeks or months. It was like years. I was years, and I feel like I was dead, and I had, there was a few signs that were flashing up at me. And when I did get that awakening and I came into finding all of these good things you're talking about, and awakening my own intuition and healing my own pain and dealing with my own issues and stories, I thought, oh no, this is great now. Like, wow, my life is just going along just so easy and everything's great. Even my immune system had picked up, because I was feeling good. I used to be a crap magnet. All of a sudden, I'm so healthy. And then what do you know? I get to 2017 and I have my next Dark Night of the Soul. Only that one was where I was in that horrible space of wondering how I'm going to make it to seven figures. How am I going to rekindle everything that I had? And it's so interesting when you're hearing someone else that is actually verbalizing everything that I haven't even bothered to talk about. And it's like another level, isn't it? A new level, a new devil, a new level, so they speak.
Exactly, and it is so important to remember every soul that it's not a circle. It's not like once you are on that dark night of the soul, it's not like you are back at zero. You just hit a new level, and it is like okay, it seems like a new shadow, but universe is just asking, so how are you gonna react on this level? And so you can see it as a good spiral instead of a bad circle because you learned since last time. You remember, hey, I have been here before. I came out of it. I did this, this, and this. Let's try this and add some new because we need something new on every level. But it is so important that, of course, to remember where did I come from. So we stay humble along the whole way. But for me, it's like getting that spark back in life, knowing that it's never over. We are not never on the same level. And of course, it's not going to be ease at every day, but I believe that we got to have some dark days to embrace and to evaluate the light days. With that being said, as you say, it's not like you go back down underneath the floor. Once you reach a level, you can never go all the way back. It's just like a video game. If you get hit out of level 11, you just get back to level 10 again and try one more time. And you get experienced every time. So when you see it as that ladder, as I do, it gets so much more fun and it really releases a lot of stress from you because it's not like you just hit home every time. You can just start from where you stumbled, if that makes sense.
Oh, I feel like you're my subconscious mind talking.
Oh,
Like I don't say these things, but it's a reminder. Like it is a reminder to say, hey, look, even when you do have a setback, you'll never go back down below to that old level that you came from again. It's a new day, it's a new way. I love that. You'll just progress and you may slide back, but you're just going up again. And then you might go back and you're going back up again. And I think it's really helpful as well when we know as people that are serving the world that when we do go down, it's only so we can come back up even higher. And
agreed.
that changes the whole paradigm, doesn't it? Like it shifts the whole idea of feeling so negative. I,
Exactly. Instead of
yeah.
instead of feeling this shame of being in the dark again, you just feel like, oh, a new up level is on the way. Let's see what it is. And I think that that makes it so much more fun to be in and also relieving. And what I also tend to think is that every time I get a setback, I think I do not only do this for me, I do it for the collective, for all my clients, because I can only walk them through what I have been through. So I'm learning this for more than just me right now.
Yes, I love that. I love that because you're you're the person who's doing the yards and they're standing on the shoulders of giants. So they can make a long story short. They don't have to invest the way you did. They don't have to go through every dark night of the soul and every learning. They can come into this container and understand that they are moving and progressing even through their pain and even through their adversity. So I'm kind of wondering now if you're taking people when you take them into that first league in the first 6 months of their spiritual awakening and bring them, into that clairvoyancy or that natural gift that suddenly fans into flames. What happens then for people who want to continue for the next 6 months? Can you talk me through that program?
Sure. So if they want to continue, at that point, they are ready for the next expansion, as I was. And that's the healer expansion. Because once you know your skills, you know your clairvoyancy, both for you and your clients, it's time for you to protect yourself more, both you and your business. So that is what we do the next half year. They develop another skill. They see that they can go on another level once again with themselves and their clients because it is overwhelming at times to know your clairvoyant skills and you're getting messages for every direction. So it's necessary at one point to just protect yourself more and better, and to clean up and to heal from the inwards. And that is what I needed for my next level. So once again, I just thought, okay, I built a program for what I need myself. And that is also taking your, from, if you're still on the six figure, and taking you upon the seven figures and above as much as you want.
Mm.
Of course, after that, you can go on a third level. You can go personal with me, but that's at that time, 1.5 year ahead.
That's beautiful. And you're really dedicating yourself, and you have a beautiful team of like-minded people that are around you as well, which is such an incredible, amazing gift. And you're just having your first child, you've already hit your seven figures. You've learned so much already about business in this time. And where are you going? Like, what's the next level for you? Can you talk us through that next expansion?
Of course. So first, I want to say, be careful what you wish for, because that was my first wish back then when I just decided this year I want to hit seven figure. I told my coaches I want to go on maternity leave at the same time as I'm free to say I want to work or not. If I want to quit work, I can do it for the rest of my life. So that's my next level, because the baby just came and I was not prepared. I said, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And the
I
doctors
was
were,
going to say, Mike, and you weren't pregnant when we first started talking.
no, I was not. I was definitely not. But the universe listens and delivers, because the doctors have told me my whole life that I needed medicational help if I wanted to be pregnant. Nope. Prove them wrong. So now I can just, it feels like the next expansion just happened before I even knew it. And it leads me on. I had a setback because I got very sick of the first trimester. So I feels like, oh my God, I'm not gonna reach my goal. But as you say, energy comes back, and you feel okay, this is a power baby and it's inside a power woman. Of course, we're gonna go for that expansion. Why wait? I asked for it. The universe delivered. Now it's my turn to walk the steps. So I'm gonna, once again, as I did with the other programs, I'm just gonna show the way and show how we can make this happen our way, because I only show frameworks. I only show what was my way, in the matter of they can turn it into their way. I know we are all so unique souls that we gotta tweak and turn a little. So I'm only showing the road so they can feel okay. I can actually go this way. So they believe, let's move this way. And I believe that's
Mm.
what I'm here for.
Well, that's I can see that's why you're here, and that's what you're doing. Because let's face it, you know yourself that it didn't work to be in a position where you've got all these strategies coming at you and all these business ideas and all the rest of it. But you learned your biggest lessons when you hit the ground, and you listen to yourself, you listen to your instinct, you listened, and then you told the universe exactly what you were going to do. So you became a very certain woman in that. Now, because I know that I do attract a lot of people who are really passionate people in the coaching space, because obviously I teach the world-class modalities to heal. And I know that so many of them, and especially it seems like yourself, the more gifted they are, they don't know what you've just talked about. They don't understand a lot of it, that it doesn't have to be all about strategy. It doesn't have to be all about, this, doing this and this and this and this and this and this. So for that person out there that's really sitting on the edge, frustrated, in that dark space where they can't even show up because they feel so blocked with all the noise out there in the world, what would you say? Could you give maybe a few, if you would be so generous, tips to that person who's really that really just wants to go to the next level? What will take them there? What would you actually offer, right here on this podcast?
Of course, I want to say, and they are not going to like what I'm going to say, but take that risky step. If you're not risking anything, you're not gaining anything. So, what I did myself and what I teach, what I tell my people today and those who are in my tribe is you can just come in this space and you can lean into me. You can borrow my trust until you have it yourself. But that person who is struggled and stressed and just feel like giving up, that was the point I was at once. And what I did was just I invested in a coach that I did not have the money for. But I told the coach, once again, I'm good at agreements here, I see. I told her, give me a month, tell me what to do, and I'm gonna deliver. And I did. I paid her after a month because I was just like, I'm leaning into you. I cannot use my old belief for anything because it only got me to here. So now I'm just borrowing what you believe until I feel it implementing in me. So I can really say risk. That's what I have done. Actually, when I look back, actually, every time I invested in a coach, I gave them every freaking penny I had, but I gained so much back. So I had enough to invest again and again and again. So never stop that journey of learning new and don't be afraid of leaning into someone else. You don't have to do it on your own or alone. I don't believe we are able to because you only know what you know. So you gotta have someone to put new ideas into it. Maybe they say one quote and you make it your own and just like, that makes sense for me. Then everything is good. So I'll just leave it at that and say they know what to do now. Their intuition have already said what direction to go in, and it feels scary. It must be. You're muted. You're muted, darling.
That's the most juiciest, delicious, tantalizing little entree that you have given. And that makes me hungry. So I can imagine that there are a lot of people that are hungry to get into your container and really start getting their seven figures on track. And I just want to say thank you so much. I think borrowing the belief of people, investing in the right coach, and taking risks. Huge. Taking risks, because that's where the risk taking to shift, becoming uncomfortable, it's what they're all talking about. I just want to thank you so much, Mike, and this has just been absolute gold from start to finish. And is there any specific space? We're going to give a link where you can contact this beautiful woman. But is there anywhere in particular that you would like to direct people yourself verbally here?
Also, you can both find me on Facebook. You can just type in Maiken Larsen, or you can find me on Instagram, Maiken, aka Rap Woman. Of course, we will write it down. And I can also give a link for my book if you are interested in that. That's the easiest way to get in touch and get that mirror, as you just say, when something get verbalized and you just think, how does she know my childhood? So I can give you that link. It's on
Look,
the
that's it. Hey, listen, that is probably one of the greatest things, and I know that I'm going to get it. So, the book, The Spiritual Millionaire. Oh my gosh, by Maiken Larsen. And yep, go and get your hands on that book, guys. That'll be probably one of the best investments you can make right now. That will be a great investment. Thank you so much. You have just been amazing.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to be here.